Rise to your highest being. 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 Rise to your highest being.
Over the past few weeks, I have talked with multiple people who were in denial of the power of infinite intelligence. We believe in infinite intelligence. Most people don't. There were people who were having some difficulties in their lives, difficulties which they were having some challenges in solving. I suggested that they turn to infinite intelligence for help in solving their problems, either through prayer or meditation. Now, I made that suggestion because infinite intelligence has a pretty extensive track record in helping to solve problems, human problems. But I was somewhat surprised by the responses I received. Some of them silently accepted the suggestion, but I got the impression that they were actually looking for something else. They were disappointed with my answer. A couple seemed to accept what I had to say, but then came back the reaction, yeah, that's nice, but I need to be practical. I was surprised, but then again, I wasn't surprised. Because we live in a society that devalues the spiritual. Researchers have found that as IQ levels rise, people become less spiritual. They begin to believe that their minds can solve every problem that they encounter. They believe that technology is the answer to everything. But my experience has shown me that spirit is the answer, not practicality. Those people that I was speaking to felt that the need to be practical overrode the need to contact spirit. They had a diminished view of infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence, the power that created everything that exists in the universe. But they had a diminished view. And I was thinking, well, maybe they're doing that because of their lifelong programming. When they thought of God, they thought of that old man in the throne up in heaven. So they thought that their problems were so small that to bother him would be a waste of time. Not realizing that infinite intelligence was all around them as well as inside them. There is nothing that is not infinite intelligence. Some scientists are now calling it the divine matrix, because everything that exists is contained within it. Maybe they were ashamed of the fact that they were having problems, that they found themselves in this situation, and they didn't deserve to call on infinite intelligence for help. But there is no problem or situation or challenge that is too small for infinite intelligence, because infinite intelligence is everything. Jesus the Christ acknowledged that when he gave all the credit to infinite intelligence for everything that he did in the passage in the book of John, chapter 5, verse 30, when he says, I can of my own self do nothing. So what is he saying in that passage? He's saying that he by himself can do nothing. It is the power within him that does all the work. That power is infinite intelligence. So what we must wake up to realize is that we are not just human beings. We are spiritual beings living in a human body. But this body is in itself an illusion. It is not solid. In fact, science has proven that nothing is solid. Not only that, the physical, visible universe is only 5% of what exists. What we see is only 5% of what exists. 95% of reality is invisible to us. And the new school of physics is based on the theory that everything originates from consciousness. In other words, our reality is a vibrating manifestation of consciousness. Everything is connected, and everything is conscious. Consciousness is the expression of infinite intelligence. The basic essence of this expression is love. So we are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. We are individualized expressions of love. Of course, one of the things I hear a lot these days is, well, if this is such a loving God, how can he allow the terrible things happening all around us? How can he do that? Huh? Well, that's a good question. Many people have pondered over that question over the years. But if you step back into your spiritual self, your real self, your true self, then you are seeing and will see that you are more than just human. You are more than a helpless human being. As spiritual beings, we are children of the Most High God. We are children of infinite intelligence. And like a parent who allows the child to learn things on its own, infinite intelligence has placed us here on this thing called Earth, this training ground called Earth, to learn on our own who and what we really are. When we came here into this existence, the veil of forgetfulness descended upon our minds so that we could fully immerse ourselves into this experience of being human, so we would not be distracted by spiritual matters of us previously coming here, by past lives. No, we had to be fully involved. The human experience is like a video game. And as players in this game, we are in pursuit of the golden prize at the end of the game. And that golden prize is recognition of who and what we really are. And the point of this human experience is to overcome the trance that blinds us to who we really are. Overcome the trance and discover the truth of our being. Now, breaking that trance, I must admit, is a truly difficult thing because we don't even know we're in a trance. But we are. You know, we are actors on an elaborate and incredibly complex stage set. Now, I remember when I was an actor, there were many elements that helped me immerse myself into the character I played. The set design created an environment that helped impress upon my consciousness that I was actually in that place and time that I was pretending to be. The costumes I wore impressed upon my consciousness that I was actually the person that I was pretending to be. So all the work that I did in memorizing the lines and rehearsing my movements and studying the character and doing all that within this artificial environment transported me and enabled me to release my own personal identity and immerse myself into the life of the character I became. So here on Earth, here in this year 2025, living life in an artificial environment that is designed to convince us that we are only human, and then challenge us with unexpected twists and turns called life. That's what it's all about. Our goal is to overcome those challenges and uncover the essence of love that we really are. The more we are able to do that, the more powerful we become in this environment. When we pray, when we meditate, we very briefly get in touch with the essence, when we do, our lives get better. Things fall into place. So our sour relationships are cured, or they're removed from our lives to make room for something better. Because those brief intervals where we touch that essence, that suspends our attachment to the physical world, opens us up to infinite intelligence, opens us up to that incredible power that is infinite intelligence waiting to work for us in our lives. That's what happened to me many times. But I remember there was a period of despair, deep despair, where I was so unhappy with the life I was leading that I opened up fully and emotionally to infinite intelligence. I told infinite intelligence, I want to be a writer, writing television commercials. Now, I had no idea of how that was done. I had no idea of where to go to do that kind of work, but I wanted to do that. Deep inside, I ached for it. So I cried out to God, help me. Within 1 week, things began to happen. Doors began to open. Opportunities began to appear out of nowhere. That could never have happened if I had left it on my own. Now, you can call them coincidences if you like, one right after the other and the other. But within 8 months after that plea to God, I was sitting behind the desk in my private office on the 28th floor of the Hancock Building in downtown Chicago as a writer creating TV commercials for 7-Up, the Cola. I can of myself do nothing. It is infinite intelligence that is over us, under us, around us, and through us that does the work. Neville Goddard, the metaphysician and international spiritual teacher of the mid-20th century, the 40s and the 50s, tells many stories about people who turned their problems over to infinite intelligence. One such story was of a banker who had risen up through the ranks but suddenly found himself in a position where he seemed to be stuck. He was passed over for promotion several times. His salary had stagnated. When he went to his boss to voice his frustration and seek his raise, he was informed that he was being laid off. To say he was shocked is an understatement, especially when getting a job was so much harder because it was in a down economy. He didn't know what was going to happen to him, and he felt lost. He finally got to the point where the only thing he could do was pray for guidance. The only thing. So he did. And within a month after he started praying, things changed. He got a call from a large corporation. The largest actually was the largest client of the bank where he used to work. The job they offered him had a substantial increase in authority and in salary. He accepted the position, and that position was as the financial manager of their banking accounts. He became responsible for supervising the banks with which this company did business. And his old employer, the bank that had fired him, was now working for him. We, of ourselves, can do nothing. It is infinite intelligence that is over us, under us, around, and through us that does the work. I remember being a salesman for a technical training company down in Silicon Valley, California. It had been a slow month for me, and with only a couple of days left before the close of the month, I was $2,000 short of my quota. I didn't know who I could call up to fix that shortfall. I was at a loss. So I sat down in my office and I prayed. Actually, I said, God, it's up to you, because I don't know where to go, who to call, or what to do. The next day, the last day of the month, my last chance to overcome the quota shortfall, I got a phone call from a company that I've been pursuing for months. They kept putting me off. And in that phone call, they informed me that they were ready to sign a contract for several $1,000s worth of training. So that day, I not only made my quota, I far exceeded my quota. I can of myself do nothing. It is infinite intelligence that is over us, under us, around and through us that does the work. We came here to learn how to express the essence of our being, which is love. Because we are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. Love exceeds whatever we can do through practicality or aggression or scheming or our ability to persuade. Love conquers all. In Zechariah, Book 4, Chapter 6, infinite intelligence makes a point of discounting the human reliance on physical strength or abilities, including military force, personal effort, or any form of human resourcefulness. God promises Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, that the completion of the temple they were building would not depend on human strength or effort, but would be accomplished by the Spirit of God. The Bible passage reads, "Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord." So any thoughts you have of solving all your problems through your intellect or your powers of persuasion or brute force are doomed to eventual failure. We're not in this experience called life alone. We're not in this all by ourselves. We are here with the awesome assistance of infinite intelligence at our disposal. We are surrounded by angels. Angels are all around us all the time. I think it's important here to remind you that although I've been talking about dramatic events brought about by the intervention of infinite intelligence, no instances of infinite intelligence intervention are life-changing. Infinite intelligence works on many levels. And so it's important to remember that little things are just as important. Little things like finding a parking space right in front of the building where you're rushing to a meeting. Having all the lights turn green when you're in a hurry to get down the street. Going to the grocery store and finding that the shelf is empty, but the very last item that you need to get is hidden behind the products next to it where nobody saw it. That's infinite intelligence at work. Or you're searching for a place where you've never been, and suddenly a car in front of you is going to the exact same place and guides you to the location you are seeking. Infinite intelligence is always there in so many different ways. You only need to sharpen your awareness to see the truth, to see how it is always working in your favor, your awareness. In the early 1980s, I became a computer software trainer, which was in the earliest days of the personal computer revolution. But after a number of years in the business, I began to wonder what my career path could be. I mean, I was working in a small software training company, but I really wasn't a lot of upward mobility available since the company was so small. And you know, I didn't go out and get another job because I was scared. I was unsure of my chances of getting hired by someone else because I didn't have a college degree. I mean, they were asking for college degrees and I didn't have one. I was self-taught. So again, I asked for guidance from infinite intelligence. A few weeks later, I got a call from the manager of the training department of the city and county of San Francisco. He wanted to know if I'd be interested in talking about a job. And I learned during my interview with him that he had sent out scouts throughout the city to take classes at different companies see what the talent pool of instructors were available in the business. And according to him, I had received several recommendations from their scouts. So infinite intelligence had already paved the way for my movement. So I accepted the job of senior instructor, teaching advanced computer courses to San Francisco employees. And with that job, an increase in salary came along. 1 year later, I was promoted to manager of the training center with another increase in salary. A year later, the scope of my job expanded as I became director of all technology training, and that came with a big salary increase. And by the end of my 5th year working for the city, I had quadrupled my salary and expanded my responsibilities. Now, during that explosive period, I started getting images of what the department should be, how it should operate. So I redesigned, according to those images, the department training model. But the changes that I made upset the old timers who controlled the department. They refused to allow it. No. You're just stepping out of line here. We're not going to let that happen. Then infinite intelligence paved the way again, because the mayor hired a new chief of technology officer who was over all technology. And her job was to modernize the way the city approached technology. When I showed her my plan, she said, that's the kind of thinking I've been looking for. And she said, go with it. Now my staff didn't understand what I was doing. I mean, they were city workers. They were used to the status quo. They liked the status quo. They didn't see how this thing was going to work, and they didn't want to cooperate and get involved in it. No. But then infinite intelligence paved the way again, because there was one person on my staff that saw the light. She understood what I was trying to do, and she took the idea and she ran with it. And while I revamped the structure of the organization, she went out and she started talking to the other departments and promoting our new business design. The police department, the city attorney's office, the fire department, the airport, public works. She was all over the city talking to people. Within 3 years, we went from an unattractive training facility that nobody cared about to an exciting training experience that everybody wanted to come to. Revenue increased so dramatically within that 3 years. We went from barely $200,000 in revenue to over $1.5 million in revenue. Delegations from other countries came to see what we were doing because they wanted to design their training centers after what we were doing. My responsibilities, because of that success, expanded to include controlling the technology department budget, because money had been wasted. And I revamped the purchasing process for the entire technology department. And then they gave me the engineers who were responsible for maintaining hundreds of PCs. They were very unhappy and they weren't doing well. So I had to re-energize them and bring them into line. That was all infinite intelligence working through me, for me, around me. You know, that staff member who infinite intelligence who had placed in the right time, in the right place at the right time to really make my plans go, who was instrumental in making our success happen by spearheading our growth and influence among the other departments. She became my deputy director. Eventually, she became my wife, and she is still supporting me, keeping me alive and making me look good.
Amen.
Thank you, Cindy. Happy birthday. So I have to thank Infinite Intelligence for moving all the pieces in place to make my success possible. I can of my own self do nothing. It is Infinite Intelligence that is over us, under us, around, and through us that doeth the work. We are immersed in a sea of consciousness like fish in the sea of water. Some scientists have said, now call it the divine matrix. That sea of consciousness feels us. It responds to us. It responds to our thoughts. It responds to our words. But it does not impose its will upon us. It allows us to be. And because of that truth, you can rest assured that the troubled situation that you find yourself in was probably brought about by your way of thinking. But there's no need for you to burden yourself with the task of figuring out how to solve those problems. No. Don't let your ego fool you into thinking that you can do it all by yourself. Infinite intelligence is waiting for your call. Just pray or meditate for peace in your life. By the way, one of the people I told you about at the beginning of the talk, who I told to pray for peace, she called me yesterday. It seems that she had decided to try what I advised her to do. She prayed for peace. She says, you know, a couple of days ago, all of a sudden I was overcome with this incredible wave of peace. It felt so good. And after that, you know what happened? People started changing the way they talked to me. The things I had wanted them to say, all of a sudden, they were beginning to say. So let us pray for that peace that passes understanding, that peace that will solve the relationship issues we're facing. Either the relationship will change or it will be removed to make room for something better. The peace that will solve career issues or health issues or financial issues or any issues that will challenge you. Remember, you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. We believe in infinite intelligence. That means that you are God's child because you come directly from God. Everything that exists comes directly from God, which we know as infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence loves you because infinite intelligence is you. You are a direct expression of infinite intelligence. So in loving you, it's loving itself. So go deep inside yourself and get in touch with that peace. It's waiting there for you. Not just with your mind, but with your heart, with your emotion. Let God feel you. Remember, it's closer to you than breathing. It's nearer than hands and feet. The light of God surrounds me. The power of God protects me. The love of God enfolds me. And the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is